Okay, now I just want to use this to demo how to get the centroid coordinates of a polygon map. In assignment 8, what we need to do, in here, I have the study area and I have the census blocks of the study area, right? This is the subset of the Pittsburgh census blocks. This is a subset, only those involved with the study area. So I have this map here. I have it already set up in my work folder, the GDB and MDB, the MXD. Okay, so I have these map layers. I turn off all the others because they are not relevant to what I'm doing, so that it's easier to see, right? So I don't want to see the buildings, I don't want to see the streets, so I turn them off. The river is here for easy reference, so I have the study area. I also use the zip code to just as a reference to see. The main thing is the census blocks within the study area. Right. How to find the population? I want to use the centroid to represent it, so that when I move a circle around, I can easily capture an estimate of the population. So that's why I want to calculate the centroids. So how do you get that? You first look at the study area blocks, the attribute table. Right here we have for every polygon, every census tract, census block rather. There I have the information about its population, pop 2010. Right? Some of them are 0 because it's downtown area. Some of them have no resident because it's an office building. You can see that some of them are 0, some of them are a bit more. It depends on. That's why downtown is more difficult to get resident population. Now, we want to therefore get the coordinates of XY coordinates of each of the centroid of each census block. So I want to put the coordinates here. So I need to get the new fields. We need the X coordinate, we need the Y coordinate. So we want to add field. The X coordinate, just call it X. You can call it any name you like actually. It should be of type double because it should be a big floating point to be accurate. Floating point number. Right? There's no others. Default value would be null, but you will calculate it later. So if you say OK, it creates a new column called X. It's kind of Y because it's double. They are all null. Right? And I also create another field. I want to call it Y because it's a Y coordinate and it's also type double. And now I have yet another. Oops. I want to see it like that, right? The two. Now I need to calculate. So I select it, I right click, and then I do not use the field calculator because field calculator is to calculate from other attribute data, right? I want to use calculate geometry. Each row here is one polygon, and I want to use the geometry of the polygon to calculate something. So I select calculate geometry. What can you do to calculate the geometry? For each polygon, it can be the area. So it can also be the perimeter, but it can be the X coordinate of centroid, Y coordinate. So I want to select X coordinate of the centroid. Now, which coordinate system do you want to use? You can use the original data is the CGS, the coordinate system of the latitude longitude from the census data. You can also use the local state plane data, which is from the data frame that we're using. You can use either one, or you can define your own. Of course, you don't want to go through the big trouble of defining your own. The main thing is that whatever you choose to use here, when you use display XY data, you have to tell the GIS what coordinate system the numbers represent. So it must be the same. So for me, I would choose that of the data frame. make sure you use the same thing when you do display XY data. So you can just say calculate, okay, and it would be in feet, right? So make sure that each one is slightly different, right? So that this is the x coordinate of the centroid in the state plane system. They are all positive numbers. That's how many feet on this. That's a very accurate value. And do the same thing for y, calculate geometry. And this time we select y coordinate of the centroid and make sure it's the same coordinate system that we have for x and y. So we click OK. Now we have another set of numbers, right? So you can scroll down and take a look at it a little bit. That's okay, right? Now, if we close that table, it doesn't do anything. We just have new data in that census block. But make sure now we want to export that table. So we want to go back to that table. Now we want to export the table, not the map layer, right? So you go to export. Right. So you want to export all records, and it should go to our GDB, right? Make sure you find the right GDB. I have already set up my GDB as the default, and then it's the name of that table. It should be called BlockCentroids, right? And there's no coordinate system because that's a table, so I will say okay. Now the table is put in the GDB, but do you want to bring it into the map? Yes. Okay, so that is done. Let me close this table. Now is in this setting I can see the BlockCentroid there. You can also check the catalog window to see that it's now in here. That's the table called BlockCentroids, right? So let me close this. Also close this window, and you can look at the BlockCentroid. The table is the same table as the attribute table of the study area blocks, but now it's just a data table, right? Each row has the data coming from the census tract, but now I have the XY coordinate of the centroid's coordinate. So what I need to do is then come here and do display XY data, right? So make sure that you give it the right X coordinate, Y coordinate, and choose the right coordinate system. You say edit, and then make sure you give it this coordinate system. You can easily get it from the library of coordinate systems. Go to layers. Well, let me just show you here then. Edit, and so it allows me to choose the right coordinate system. The wise way to choose is it has to be in the same as one of those, right? So you just pick it from here. That would be simple. Of course, you can also pick it from the library up there. So if you pick it and say OK, now you have set up to use the stay local plane, and if I say OK, then it would work through that table and generate a BlockCentroids event, right? So now I have a map layer called BlockCentroid events. These are the dots. It's a point map layer, right? You can change the color to anything you like, but each centroid will have the same data there now. Now it has the shape point. Each is a point. Now we have the coordinate, but we don't need the coordinate. We see it. Now we have the population at that point location. Okay, so that's how now we can use this map to easily test where do we want to have a neighborhood of enough population. Okay, that's the apportionment strategy of how to count things. Okay, so that's all here. I hope you can easily move on. To understand the concept of why we do this is most important for learning to do GIS project, meaning knowing the skills of GIS, how to use the GIS is a tool to solve real problems. That's GIS project. Okay,